Welcome, everyone, to Rutgers, the voice of college football. I'm here with my fantastic co host, Gabriel Pickup, and tonight we are going to discuss the 2026 season, and we're going to predict each game and Rutgers' overall record. But before we do that, Gabe, you got any updates for us?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I have one update, and that is in regards to the class of 2026. We got a new commit, Ian Asele Ngawe Stevenson. I apologize if I butchered the Ngawe part. Father, Cam Stevenson, I don't know if you remember him, Adam, starting offensive lineman under Shiano during the magical 2006 year. And he ended up being picked in the 5th round in 2007 by the Saints, I believe. And he was coaching Ian as head coach at Mesa, Arizona. So I'm definitely happy that Ian's here, at least in terms of the morale. And I predict that maybe Cam Stevenson will make some appearances in the locker room and help the guys out. As for Ian, he is the 23rd class of 2026 commit, and he joins linebacker Tanner Raymond for the summer commits. He's the 5th class of 2026 offensive lineman to commit. Southern Miss had their eyes on him, but we were his only D1 offer. And he's not expected to start this year or 2027, but I'm just hoping that, he at least provides some depth.
Absolutely. And I think right now, I believe we're ranked, 51st in the country in recruiting?
Yeah. Hovering around top 50.
Hovering around top 50. And how do you think we did in the portal this year?
Well, first off, with the commit class, we were top 10 at one point. So, we've definitely taken our foot off the gas a little bit. Now, this isn't exactly the time of year to stress about that. As for the portal, I think I would give it about a C or a C+. We got some really good commits, some transfer commits. I mean, you think of Rondo Porter, you think of Ty Morris, you think of Zamir Dawood. Obviously, that's just for the defense. Dylan Lonergan on offense. And, we didn't land necessarily a superstar based on how they've played so far in college football, but we landed some consistency. I think for, the fact that, I don't know if you saw the report that we have lost like $500-something million in the last decade. I think given that information, this is probably the best that we could have done. And that, along with the fact that we retained Raymond, we retained KJ Duff. The retains were definitely an A or an A- just because we lost Ian Strong. But the commits, I'll give like a C or C+. We didn't really get a commit wide receiver either.
Yeah. And like you said, that deficit of over $500 million, that may have been the catalyst for why I got the flu, because when I read that, my immune system tanked. But anyway, so we got some players in the portal. Hopefully we're going to have a better defense this year. I do think, when you look at the offense and you look at Raymond's, you look at KJ, and possibly former 4-star Dylan Lonergan, who initially went to Alabama, if he reaches his potential, the upside for that offense is going to be something. So,
yeah.
Which leads us into a perfect segue, because they say it's not good to live in the past or to look backwards. So let's look forward to the upcoming 2026 season. Let's talk about each game and give our predictions and then see where it lands for Rutgers' record for the 2026 season.
Yes.
And that leads us to start off with, at SHI Stadium on September 3rd, Thursday evening, we welcome the University of Massachusetts Minutemen. What are your thoughts?
And Coach Harizmiak coming back to Piscataway too.
Yeah, regretting you were left.
He really got dealt a bad hand, so I feel bad for him in a sense, but he also did, he got a promotion because his job got more significant, but he also lost out on being in a Big Ten program. I think with all that being said, I don't think there's any bad blood because the athletic department was kind of in the crapper when he left. But in terms of UMass, in terms of that game, opening day for Rutgers University, 2026 season, I think we win significantly. I'm sure that's not a hot take. I'm saying around 49-17. I think the offense shows – it's crazy to say with 49 points you call it spurts, but against a team like UMass, I'm going to say 49-17, and they show spurts of significance. And the defense shows flashes of rust because it's another new unit. We saw how that worked last year with arguably a more talented on paper unit. I think that this team's defense can definitely gel better next year, but I'm still going to say that UMass manages to put up around 17 on us, still win 4 touchdowns if you count 2-point conversions. So 49-17.
Well, I think that's a really good prediction, and I'm pretty close with you. I think that UMass comes into SHI Stadium with Harizmiak, and Schiano intentionally runs up the score for the audacity of him leaving for the
UMass. You always come through with the ball buster takes.
Yeah, well, he's coming back to SHI Stadium, thought he was a big shot leaving for UMass, huh? Well, you didn't leave for the basketball program, you left for the football program.
Yeah, because UMass is definitely the hot shot school for football.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be something like 43-13 with about 20 seconds left, and Schiano's gonna punch one more in just to say, man, you know what? Don't forget us.
Just like Ohio State did to us a few years back.
Right. 50-13 Rutgers.
50-13. Okay. So if we're running up the score, why wouldn't it be 51-13?
Because we're going to be ahead 43-13 when they score the touchdown. Right, so it's going to be 50.
I'm saying, why don't we go for the 2 points? Practice some 2-point conversions in game,
Because Schiano has grace. There's a point at which he actually does show mercy.
All right.
He has to hit that 50, but that's not a bad idea. Now, the second game is a game that I'm very concerned about. I'm not sure you are. We go up.
I'm definitely concerned about it.
Yeah, Chestnut Hill in Boston to face the Boston College Eagles and Doug Flutie. Wait, no, that was 1985. So Bill O'Brien, former offensive coordinator at Alabama, did have a great year this year, and Bill O'Brien lost his starting quarterback to who? To Rutgers, Dylan Lonergan. I'm not so sure about this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm predicting a win, but a very uncomfortable win. I'm saying it's going to be 30-28, and I do think that Lonergan has himself a good game. I'm saying he gets 2 or 3 touchdowns, 0 to 1 interceptions, definitely tosses for at least 250, but the defense is going to be what lets us down this game. And, tell me if you've heard that one before in the past 365 days, because it's nothing new in terms of recent history. But I do think we pull it out. I think we're actually going to be up 30-28, have to punt the ball, and they're going to get a chance, but we're going to finally come up with a defensive stop.
In 2001, when my younger brother was a student at Boston College, I went up on a Saturday. I went up on a Friday night. Now on Saturday, we went to the Boston College Miami game. At the time, Boston College was not ranked. Miami was number 1 in the country and would later go on to win the national championship. Boston College almost beat them. Boston College had the ball.
They're scrappy.
Yeah, on the 12-yard line with about a minute left to take the lead. And then the Boston College quarterback threw a pick 6. But they stunned Miami. And
you said that was an 0-1?
That was an 0-1, yeah. Traditionally, traditionally a strong Boston College is a strong football program. Not as much recently, but they always field a competent team. And I think that night in Chestnut Hill, I think Rutgers loses. I think it's Boston College 20, Rutgers 16.
I think you think we lose?
Yeah, 20-16.
Okay, I thought that me saying 30-28 in a win, you were going to be like, get out of here, we're blowing them out.
Yeah, I don't think. And by the way, Jason, Boston College, they beat Georgia in a bowl game in 01. They were good that year. I think that Boston College is going to be a much better team. They're a well-coached team. I don't like how Rutgers plays on the road, kind of like how they played against Minnesota, against Illinois.
Yeah,
I just have a bad feeling about it. And I think in this game, after a blowout against UMass, although Jason thinks it's going to be 24-17, might be right. I think we lose a close one and a very disappointing one.
Well, I hope we're both wrong, and I hope it's not necessarily close. I'm sure that a lot of people don't think it'll be close, so I hope that they don't necessarily surprise those folks. And for this next one, USC, that's at home, thankfully, so we're not going to be up at 2 a.m. talking about it. But I don't think it's any surprise. I have it as a 13-34 loss. And USC, they year in and year out are a top 25 team with their peak being as high as a top 5 team. And so next year you can expect more of the same. Next year we're fielding an easier schedule than this year, but we're still facing teams like USC and Indiana, obviously, and Penn State, Nebraska. It's still not a cakewalk, especially for a Rutgers team that has probably been in the bottom 5 of the Big Ten as a unit since it came into the Big Ten. So 13-34 feels about right. The USC defense is pretty underrated historically, and their offense is always their highlight. So it could be 13-41, it could be 13-50, but I'm going to give them some grace and say 13-34.
All right, good prediction. And Sports Talk with Austin says Seabiscuit says hi. Yes, Seabiscuit came out of the ashes and grabbed glory. What a wonderful force and a wonderful movie. All right, so as far as USC goes, I graduated from USC in 1997. So this is going to be a special game because, I love my Trojans, and I'm going to be at the stadium. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint half of my body cardinal and gold, and I'm going to half of my body is going to be in Rutgers colors. But look, let's look at 2 years ago when they played at the Coliseum. Very physical game. Rutgers played competitively, but USC, too much skill, too much speed. And I think it's going to be the same results.
Their prospects are just better.
Yeah. I like USC to win this one 38-20.
We're not too far off. Even in the one where we disagree on the result, it's still fairly close in the outcome. I have it as a 2-point win. You have it as a 3-point loss. So, there's going to be – I can guarantee you I see a few games down the list where we're going to disagree. But so far, so good.
All right. Well, let's see. Is this one we're going to disagree on? The Howard Bison comes to –
I don't think we're disagreeing on this one.
Howard traditionally is a kind of a scrappy team, not a team to take lightly. I certainly have respect for them, but Rutgers, too much talent. I see Rutgers winning this one 40-10.
I don't know if I should say this before or after, but since they are an HBCU, I would like to wish anybody who celebrates or anybody who recognizes and should recognize, in my opinion, happy Black History Month. Just got reminded that because Howard is probably the most famous HBCU out there. Unfortunately for them, and because this is a Rutgers show, I have us winning significantly, 54-10.
All right, and yes, happy Black History Month. And Howard, very good school, also has a good law school, and has produced a lot of good leaders. So, certainly, I don't think we should. Necessarily take them lightly, but I do think this is going to be our easiest game. So, but unfortunately,
moving on from the easiest to the by far the hardest.
The next game will be the next week against at the Maryland Terrapins. And
I thought it was at Indiana the next week.
I was trying to skip it, but you wouldn't let me.
Okay.
I was trying to skip it, but okay, I guess we'll have to talk about it. So. Next week, the next week, Kurt Signetti, the national champion Indiana Hoosiers come to SHI Stadium. What's going to happen in this game? Number one.
I think. Okay, yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, you go first. Go ahead.
I got a whole script for this.
Okay, go ahead.
Going to be. Shout out to Exploring with Ben and Sam in the chat. How are you doing, Ben?
Hello,
this
Ben.
is going to look a lot like the Oregon game last year. We're going to get that touchdown on the opening drive. And, we got a field goal last year, but we're going to get the score on the opening drive. Everybody is going to be saying, stop the count, stop the count. Rutgers is up, hang the banner. And then we are going to lose 49-10.
Okay, 49-10. Good prediction. I think the first thing that happens before the game even starts is a senior level administrator at Rutgers calls 911. And tells them we have an emergency here. And then what I think you're going to see is a different team is going to come on the field wearing Rutgers uniforms, because I think what they're going to do the week before, they're going to go to high schools all throughout New Jersey and say, hey, you want to play for Rutgers? And they're going to say, yeah. And they're going to put a uniform on them and they're going to throw them out there. and they're going to get beat about 55-10.
Genuine
Now,
question.
I joke, of course.
Genuine question. Do you think that sports books are even going to have Rutgers money line as an option?
Yes.
Because it caps at plus 100,000 or something like that. I know that that's just hyperbole, obviously. We'll probably come into the game at around, I would say, plus 3,000, maybe plus 2,800.
Yeah, something like that. But again, there is a chance that before the game starts, the student section will storm the field and prevent Indiana from taking the field. But here's the thing.
We would lose by disqualification.
In all honesty, I have a bit of a different take on this one. Indiana next year is without Fernando Mendoza. They are losing a lot of those seniors on the defensive front. I think Rutgers is going to give them a little bit of a fight. And I think Indiana is going to run away with it in the second half. But I don't think it's going to be another Oregon. I think it's going to be 42, Indiana 42, Rutgers 20.
Who is their transfer quarterback they just got? Didn't they just get another QB from the?
I believe he's from TCU.
Yes, it is. What's his name? Yeah, Josh Hoover. Oh man, he's going to look great there. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be Mendoza good, but don't be surprised if he's in Heisman finalist.
Yeah,
Heisman finalist.
I just think when you win a national championship, the pressure the next year, everybody's giving you their A game. They do have losses of some great players like Aiden Fisher. I don't know if they're going to be that much worse, but I do think that Rutgers is going to bring their A game, and I think they're going to lose 42-20. But it's not going to be another Oregon.
I hope not.
I hope not too, but who knows?
Because here's the thing: we're talking about their defense being a little worse. Our offense is probably going to be worse because we had one of the better offenses in the Big Ten last year, and fortunately, it didn't lead to much.
I also have two specific predictions for that game. Number one, Kurt Cignetti will be called for a personal foul sometime in the first half when Indiana turns it over and Rutgers starts believing. And number two, Dylan Lonergan will throw a pick six.
Yeah, I can see both happening. The thing with Lonergan is he had his flashes at Boston College, and as you mentioned, one of the great high school quarterback prospects. But I can just see this going like how Geno Smith went with the Jets.
Yeah.
Where he starts off as like everybody loves the kid, and slowly we lose patience because he is a sophomore, going to be a junior next year. And there's a quarterback right behind him, in AJ Sarace that could totally see the field, if not win the quarterback job.
He might win the quarterback job. You don't know, but I think
the consensus is among Rutgers fans is they want AJ Sarace to win the job because he has bigger potential. I don't know if I agree with that, but I've seen it everywhere.
Well, I haven't seen enough of AJ Sarace outside the spring game to say he has a better upside. I know that the theoretical upside for Lonergan was huge when he went to Bama. He was a 4-star, and they were very impressed with him as a true freshman.
Oh, for sure.
But Lonergan has to have a breakout year, or he's going to be this generation's version of Jimmy Clausen. Clausen from Notre Dame.
Hey, by the way, what's his name again? The guy who does all the draft projections. Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper is, 20 years? No, not 20. Maybe 17 years, 16 years overdue from retiring because he said that Jimmy Clausen will be a guaranteed Pro Bowler, and if he isn't, then he will retire. So, hey, Mel, it looks like it's time to hang it up.
So Mel Kiper often makes absolutely ridiculous predictions, and it makes me wonder, how did you get to be considered so elite?
Yeah.
But unbelievable.
The fact that he never owned the Shador mishandle for the draft either. Like, that was the most colossal mistake for a projection I've ever seen.
Shador was this generation's version of Ryan Leaf in that he went into the interviews with NFL GMs with an ego and with arrogance, and that's like, number one, you don't do that.
Yeah.
But I think he'll recover, and I think he'll be all right.
Hey, say what you want. even though I don't necessarily agree with it, the kid's a Pro Bowler now.
Yeah, well, let's see. It's going to be interesting to see how that quarterback battle shapes. But it makes me think if Schiano offered him to come to Rutgers, I don't think Lonergan's coming to sit on the bench. And I wonder what those
I
conversations
don't think
are
so
like.
either. I don't think that Schiano would be like, "Hey, you're QB1 going into opening day." I think he would say, "You're taking first team reps off the rip." That's probably what the pitch was. And I think part of the reason, like, it's kind of like a which came first, chicken or the egg. Did KJ stay because he knew that another quarterback was coming, or did Dylan come because of KJ staying, or neither one? I mean, we'll never. We probably won't know for a little while because unfortunately, these guys, I swear they have like a no contest thing to their interviews because we just want them on this freaking show.
Yeah, and at this point, I may start rejecting people from the show for the amount of times they rejected us, but of course we'll welcome them. Yeah. I think the biggest tell for me is that Schiano went out and got Lonergan. That tells me that he's not, you don't get Dylan Lonergan because you're looking for a depth piece. You're getting Dylan Lonergan because you're looking for starter, but we'll see. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, Jason's right. He is erratic, and AJ could beat him out, so we'll see.
And I know that we got Maryland, but what do you think about the Week 6 bye? I just think that's way too early.
I think that the bye coming off of Indiana is probably good timing in that regard. But, so I don't really have a problem with it. I think it's also good because I think we're going to need 2 weeks to prepare for Maryland and their what I think will be dynamic offense. So I think the timing is okay for me.
I would say either before or after Michigan would feel a little better.
Well,
I mean,
we'll get to Bryce Underwood, Michigan shortly.
Yeah,
we're calling 911 again. Listen, I don't scare them away, Ben. All I do is I'm very direct with them. I do threaten them, and I say, "Come on the show, or else," and then I just fill in the sentence. And maybe that's why they scare away. But I'll tell you this: Ethan Calicanis follows Gabe, doesn't follow me. He gets the players following him. Nobody follows me, and I feel neglected.
It's a little thing called well, no, you have it. I was going to say it's a little thing called respect, but you do respect at the end of the day. You just have some comedically chosen words.
Yes, and if you don't get my sense of humor, then you're probably going to want to murder me. But hey, all that means is I go to heaven a lot earlier than all of you. So. Anyway, so we've got a bye week, and then I don't know about you, Gabe, but this game really scares me at Maryland. What do you think?
I'm confident, and not because Maryland is bad. I'm just saying that whatever bad juju we had last year, I don't think we take all of that into 2026. I think that it's games like last year I called Minnesota, Iowa, who else? I guess I said Maryland as sort of the close to 50-50 games. And, they kind of were according to most sports books, and we just kept losing for the most part. Maryland, we snuck away with a win only because they were on a terrible losing streak. But this game, I think that even though they probably get better on offense, I think that this is the game where our defense shows up. And I'm calling a 20-17 win here. And Maryland, yes, exactly, Jason, their quarterback returning and their talent will both show their offense to be better. But I think that our defense starts to gel around this time, especially after a bye week. Not last year, but 2 years ago, our defense turned it around significantly after the bye week, and we beat Minnesota, who had won 4 in a row. I believe we lost 3 in a row at that point. I'm calling for the same thing to happen because last year under Rob Smith, that's sort of a transition year for coordinators. Now, we still don't have a DC, but these projections are assuming that the defensive coordinator, the defensive line coach, linebackers coach, secondary coach, that they are at least qualified. If not superstars, then they're at least capable and qualified. I think we win 20-17. And we forced 2 interceptions out of Malik.
All right, that's a fair prediction. I mean, look, 2 years ago, Maryland at home beats USC. But Maryland's one of those teams, very unstable team. Sometimes they play really well. Sometimes they turn it over too much. I think that Maryland's going to be an improved team, but the most important thing about this game, it's going to show how good our defense is or how much they've improved. They're going to have to play reasonably well.
Yeah.
I think they play good enough to win, and I think we come out of there with a 34-27 victory.
I mean, last year, the first half against Maryland, that defense once again made Malik look like a freaking stud out there. He had 160 yards rushing in the first half or something.
In the first play.
And then, yeah, because I think he had a 70-something yard touchdown. And then he only had 8 rushing yards in the second half, something like that.
Yeah, and what's going on with that Rutgers? I'm addressing this specifically the entire team, past and present. Why are you so good for one half and not good for the other half? What are you doing? What are you bored or something?
At least
you want to make exciting?
At least they chose the right half that game to be good. But yeah, I think 20
fumble recovery against Oregon on the first drive.
Yeah, no, it's true. We were up 3-0, and everyone was like, "Whoa, hold your horses!" But obviously, we saw how that went. I'm saying 20-17 win. I think Malik is a great quarterback, but he's not an elite quarterback, and we can make reads to slow him down in the second half.
Yeah, and I think he's turnover prone. I think we got a victory there, but then we go to the state of Illinois against a very intelligent team. That's how I would describe Northwestern, a bunch of intelligent players who went to Happy Valley this year and beat Penn State. I do not feel good about this game. I think Northwestern is going to be a good, not a great team, but they're typically disciplined. They play well at home. They can run the ball. I think Northwestern is going to come out of this game with a 27-24 victory.
They had a good year last year. They surprised a lot of people. A lot of people had them as a bottom 2 or 3 team in the Big Ten, and I believe they won 7 games. It's looking like they could be around that tier, if not better. They improved their coaching staff. They got Aiden Childs, who Rutgers Nation was killing me for saying we should take a look at him. I would say Aiden Childs and Lonergan are probably around the same tier at this point in their careers anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that we can pull this one off 24-21.
Okay.
And I don't have any reason for that other than historically Northwestern, at least in recent years, just hasn't been as good as us besides last year where they had a great game against Penn State. They had a positive record for most of the year, but we still had one side of the ball be way more dominant, and we just slacked on the defense so hard that I think we progress a little more to the mean this year. So I'm going to say 24-21.
I hope so. I just hope it's not this year's version of Minnesota, but hope you are right.
Yeah, I mean, these games I'm feeling a little better about when I say like 50-50.
All right, fair enough. And then we fly back to New Jersey, back to SHI Stadium, and who comes to SHI Stadium? The Michigan Wolverines with their star quarterback Bryce Underwood and new coach Kyle Whittingham. And I'll tell you something as a side story about Kyle Whittingham. I'm very concerned about Kyle Whittingham because I feel like if Michigan does not approve of his relationship with his wife, they may fire him too. Just like they did to Sharon. So he's got to be careful.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely all that there was to it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, look, Michigan 9-3 this year. Didn't look great against Ohio State, but they are Michigan. They're going to have a stellar defense, and I think Bryce Underwood is much improved this year. He has some better skilled players. I like Michigan in this one, 31-17.
Wow, you are very, very close to my prediction. I said 31-16. And I'm surprised Justice Haynes didn't return. He was only there for 1 year. He had a really good year before injury, and then he just hits the portal immediately when it opens.
Yeah, he must want to just be the number one guy somewhere with no competition. I don't know. Is that the reason, or is he getting a bigger?
I think possibly. I know they got some transfer running backs, but he was at Alabama at one point, right?
Yeah, Justice Haynes was at Alabama, and he was there, I believe, for 2 years. He got some carries, but he was a little bit lower on the depth chart.
I know that him and Underwood had a spat, but I thought that was just basic on the field football talk. I didn't think there was anything to it.
I bet you I know what the spat was about. He probably went up to Underwood and said, "Stop throwing the ball 95 miles an hour on every throw."
Yeah, well, he's going to be a lot more disciplined next year, Bryce. So, and look, this will be Austin. I hope, but you might
Austin,
be.
You were supposed to help Gabe tonight, and you have failed.
No, I'm looking very rational tonight, aren't I?
Yes,
but
you are.
Honestly, 16-31, 17-31. Most experts are going to say that that's too close to what the actual game will be. But I do think that we'll play them well at home against a quarterback who will be a true sophomore. So he's not a rookie, but he's not going to be as poised as a Michigan quarterback in a ranked school should be. Because, I mean, they'll be ranked. It would be crazy if they're not ranked coming into the year or at that point in the year. But I think that we have some poise. We brought in some players who have been leaders on their teams, have had some poise, and I'm feeling like 16-31 is about the right score.
All right, we're close on that one. Next game, I remember back in 2015, it was the summer before I started my job. I went up to Madison, Wisconsin. What a beautiful, beautiful area in the summer. Madison was a great city.
Yeah,
we went to a great bar, great restaurant, had dirty martinis. And I was, what? I could see myself as a student here. Saw the football stadium. And I remembered, Camp Randall's a tough place to play. And the Flying Fickles, the Wisconsin Badgers, at night at Camp Randall, this game has loss written all over it. I've got Wisconsin winning this one 26-20.
Well, we've talked about this, and outside of the budget, because I talked about it in last week's episode, but in terms of our financial affordability, maybe being in the Big Ten isn't the way to go. In terms of a competition, I think
I've been saying that. Everyone insults me when I say it.
You said we're just not going to be competitive enough. I'm saying we could be competitive enough, but financially we're just in too much of a gutter. But this is the game that Donovan and I have said will prove that we belong, which sounds a little crazy, but Wisconsin's like a lower middle tier Big Ten team. They didn't have a good year last year at all, but they ended up with some upsets, I believe, over Washington too. And I think that we can get it done, even in Camp Randall. And by the way, you have a story for everything. It's kind of funny. But
I'm 50 years old. I've been around. When you're 50,
every place that we talk about, you're like, I've been there.
Yeah.
More life to you.
Yeah, but the thing is, Gabe, you know what? I'm looking for news stories. And that's the key, because life's not over at 50. I hope not, at least. But Jason makes a great point. Will Michigan be ranked after having to play Penn State, Iowa, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma, Iowa, and Penn State, Indiana? Well, I think so. Probably. I think they will be ranked, but probably in the 20s. I think they will beat Iowa. They will beat Penn State. Yeah. But I do believe they will have 2 losses in there.
And I think they'll beat Oklahoma too. I do.
Possibly. What do you think about Camp Randall? What happens there?
I think we win 21-17. It's another close one. Now, if you ask me in the middle of last year how we would do next year in Wisconsin, I would say we would win by 20 or 30. But because of how Wisconsin closed out the year and the fact that we couldn't get it done against any of those teams that I said could go either way besides Maryland, I think it's a lot closer, but I still think that we're just a little more talented. So I'm saying 21-17.
Okay. Well, then after that, which is going to be a great game to watch.
You're gonna say that Austin should help me out after this next prediction.
Well, the next week, Lincoln, Nebraska is a really up-and-coming city. And it's only an hour and a half from Omaha where they have the College World Series, which I'm going to in June. So Dylan Raiola and Nebraska come to SHI Stadium.
Dylan doesn't.
Wait, Dylan Raiola's not there anymore. Oops, he's backing up Dante Moore. Sorry.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know, right?
The fact that he was perfectly okay leaving a starting job in the Big Ten to be a backup in the Big Ten.
I think he thought Dante Moore was going to the NFL.
He didn't want to walk away with his tail between his legs.
Something like that. I don't know. But Nebraska is going to have a very good defense. And if Nebraska improves on the offensive line, I think that it's going to be a very close game. I got Nebraska coming out with the victory 23-17.
Okay. Then maybe me predicting a 33-31 win isn't that crazy. I just truly believe that we can win really based on how they played post Raiola last year. They had a few, I would say, embarrassing losses. You think they were the team that helped Penn State turn it around. I know that Penn State beat Michigan State the week before, but even with the Penn State 6 losses in a row thing going on, nobody really thought that Michigan State was going to beat them. That was just more like it would be really funny if they did. But Nebraska got handled by Penn State, and they're the reason that I forget the name of their interim coach, the one that he ended the year on a 4-game winning streak, I believe, or 3. But they're the reason that he came back as a coordinator this year because he looked really good. Yeah, so I believe that we can win just based on how Nebraska played at the end of last year, and they're not getting their quarterback back, the one that made them number 25 in the nation for a week.
Yes, they will rely on rock star looking TJ Lateef. And I guess when Rutgers plays a team that is good, not great, I just am not at the point where I can confidently predict the wins, particularly after seeing what happened with Minnesota this year, Washington, Illinois. I mean, they were good teams, but hopefully you're right. And then I don't think Rutgers, here's the problem I have with the state of Pennsylvania. I'm going to tell you what the problem I have with the state of Pennsylvania is that when I had a job in Fort Wayne, Indiana, take a chill pill, Jason. when I had
technically a compliment.
I guess so, yeah. I used to drive from New Jersey to Fort Wayne. I'd spend the holidays and the summers in New Jersey. And I would drive through Pennsylvania. And when I got into Pennsylvania by the Delaware Water Gap, I'd say it looks very nice, very pretty. Philadelphia down the southern part, very nice. But then there's a stretch of about 4 hours where there's absolutely nothing except the Little League World Series. And it makes you feel like you're nervous. I get nervous. I get scared. Happy Valley's in the middle of nowhere. But I will tell you. It
is, yeah.
They have a football team there.
Although if you're driving from the east, the mountains are a very nice view when you're driving through the mountains.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a pretty state, no question about that. But in that span of like 4 hours where there's nothing there, there's one thing there, and that is Penn State. And what I think is going to be a much improved football team under Matt Campbell. We're not winning this one. We're losing this one 30-14.
Well, I think it's going to be an ugly loss, not in terms of the deficit. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. But I don't think that either team is going to play particularly well on offense. And Penn State losing both of their backs who set franchise records, the fact that they lose Grunkemeyer too, and they do get Becht, and Becht is probably going to be higher ranked going into next year, but Grunkemeyer definitely has the higher ceiling. I would say that Becht is going to have a solid year, but not an elite year, kind of like how he was at Iowa State. And, the chemistry is there for sure. Matt Campbell, I think he brought in like 11 coaches and coordinators from Iowa State. And obviously their starting quarterback. I just don't think that they have enough talent offensively to blow the roof off and beat us by like 4 or 5 scores. But their defense is just always so good. I mean, except for last year, I guess. But usually it's amazing. They have no problem getting transfers on defense. For some reason, they did not have a good class of 2026 coming into next year. But how often do freshmen, really make an impact on defense? It's like 1 in every 4 or 5 schools will really have an actual impact freshman defender. So sure. I think that their defense is going to once again look like a powerhouse of a few years ago, and they're going to win this one 19-10. They're going to get 4 field goals and a touchdown on us. We're going to get a touchdown and a field goal, and we're going to have some tough turnovers on their side of the field.
Yeah, that's a really intriguing prediction. I like it. And I have 2 specific predictions for that game. Number 1, James Franklin will be seen lurking on the Rutgers sideline with Mark Mangino, former coach of Kansas.
You're just doing this for clicks. There's no way you believe it.
Hey, it's amazing what you can make yourself believe. But
he basically got all of Penn State with him in Virginia Tech now.
Yeah, Virginia Tech. That's going to be an interesting season for next year.
I'm rooting for them just to kind of give the middle finger to Penn State if they do well.
I think Franklin's a very good. Here's the thing about Franklin. I think he's an amazing teacher and mentor. I just get the sense that he's too soft to be a college football coach.
I don't think that. I just think I don't want to say soft because I don't think he's soft in terms of discipline. I think he's just a little too laissez-faire. I think he's
Okay.
a little too accepting. Like he said, we can't take two bad losses and make that be what Penn State is, and then they go ahead and lose to Northwestern, and he loses his job. I think he would have kept his job if he said, "What can we learn from these two losses? How can we improve? What's going on? What's wrong with us?" I mean, my Knicks just lost 10 of 12, and they lost by 30 to a team missing 8 players when we were completely healthy. And we have a players-only meeting. We get accountable, including players that haven't previously been accountable. And now we're on a 6-game winning streak. And it's like that never happened. Now, knock on wood, but that's my point here is that things change when you realize things have to change. And that's the only thing I think is missing with him is change on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, that's a fair point. We'll see. Wish James Franklin the best, but I'm not sure what's going to happen the next week because the final game of the season. I was there at the game against Penn State. It was beautiful. They had fireworks and they had Bon Jovi playing. It was great. Not until the fourth quarter. But
by the way, you said that last game at Penn. It was at Piscataway facing Penn State, and you and your girlfriend left because of the weather because it was a little cold, right? And don't get me wrong, it definitely was cold, but that looks like Havana, Cuba nowadays in the Northeast. I mean, it hasn't been over freezing since maybe like 2.5, 3 weeks ago.
There was a second reason why I left.
You had to go to the potty.
No, I'll tell you the second reason why I left. I was in the front row because I wanted to be as close as I could, and I just figured I'd splurge for it. I walk all the way up to get a drink, and when I get up there, it says sangria, $15.
Oh yeah, the sangria gate.
And I go up there, I'm like, "Oh, I'll have a sangria," and I give her a $20 bill, and I say, "Keep the change," and she says, "We don't take cash." I'm like, oh no. And I didn't have my card with me. So you know what they made me do? They made me walk like halfway around the stadium. Yeah. And then I come back and I get the sangria and it tasted like cherry soda. Ridiculous.
And you said it. They said it was what, like 100 yards away and it was the whole stadium away?
She says like 100 yards away. It was on the other side of the stadium. And it was just, and then the sangria.
I mean, I guess if you think about it, 100 yards on a football field is the whole field. That doesn't cover the circumference, though.
Yeah, and when I came back, I had this nasty look on my face. I just gave her the card. And I took a sip of it. I'm like, that's it. Out of here. Back to the Parkway. Back up north to Steve's Sizzling Steaks. And that's it. That's all I'm going to say.
For sure. So this is going to be at home, this Michigan State game?
Yeah, people in Michigan's a very beautiful state. Ann Arbor is a beautiful, beautiful town. Not the same in East Lansing. Very, very dreary there. And I think Michigan State has a very dreary game, losing this one to Rutgers 30-20.
I think that we lose, or not lose, sorry. I think they lose 13-24. They lost their number one wide receiver, who was the number one wide receiver in the transfer portal. And guess where he's at now? Indiana. They lose their quarterback to Northwestern. They change up a lot of personnel on both sides of the football and staff, and it's going to be at Piscataway. But they're still, despite how bad their year was last year, they're still a scrappy football team. They played some great games last year and had some tough losses similar to us. The only difference is that we handled business out of conference, and we had some games like the one against Purdue, the one against Maryland, go our way in the Big Ten. So I think that 24-13, 2-possession win is about right. And it's weird because looking at this, I ultimately predict an 8-4 record, but that's crazy because I didn't feel like I was being like irrational or biased during any of these
I
predictions.
don't think you were being irrational at all.
So that tells me that could be our ceiling. And because like Penn State, we're not winning that game. We could win it, but it's probably irrational to say we will win it. But Nebraska, they'll probably be favored, but I think we win. And that could go either way. It's not crazy to say either way. Same with Wisconsin, same with Northwestern, same with Maryland, and same with Michigan State. So I don't think it's crazy to say 8-4 is a possible ceiling.
All right, folks. So Gabe represents the ceiling at 8-4.
What's the floor?
And dare I say, I represent the floor at 4-8. So,
did you really have it as 4-8?
I've got it at 4-8 with losses to Penn State, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Michigan, Northwestern, Indiana, and Boston College. Yeah. So, if we average them out, though, where's the middle ground? 6-6.
Which would get us a bowl game appearance possibility. Although we had one last year, as Adam likes to bring up.
Yeah, we won the Birmingham Bowl 42. Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry. We didn't go. I forgot. But, yeah, I mean, so we're going to wrap up the show now because Gabe and I have some special commitments tonight. And I think this discussion, though, Gabe, is interesting because we're looking at a span of 4-8 to 8-4. Where is it going to land? I think that I am probably going to be off by 2 games, and I would say you're going to be off by 1 to 2. So I would put the margin of error.
Sure. I mean, if you think about it, all the games that are 50-50 that I predict, Maryland's, Northwestern, Wisconsin, Nebraska, it's tough to say that we'll go 4-0 in those games.
Yeah, but I think the reasoning behind your picks are good. So I think it's going to be 6-6. I don't see 7-5, but it's a possibility. But hey, if Rutgers defense really shows out next year, the ceiling is 8-4. But again, the floor of 4-8. I think we do go to a bowl game, but probably at 6-6. But who knows? As always, a great discussion. See, that's why the show is great because we have Gabe, the ceiling, and me, the floor. Gabe is heaven, and I am hell.
I didn't know if I was going to be the ceiling because I was talking a lot more judgmentally about the team when we were talking about UMass and Howard, like the teams that we should beat. But then, yeah, as the show went on, I just had a feeling about that Wisconsin-Nebraska tandem.
Yeah, those are going to be close. And it's like last year, the year before. Can they win the games that they could win? We'll see.
Absolutely.
But as always, thanks to everyone for being here. We're going to be back here, every week, Monday at 7:00, and other times as news breaks. If you like the show, hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, go Scarlet Knights. We'll see you next week.
Go Scarlet Knights. 8-4 on the way.